Alright, what is going on, my dudes? We're back here today with the next champion entering MCOC. We have Patriot. Now, unfortunately, I don't have access to the CCP beta at the moment to actually use this guy for stuff, but thankfully, he's a pretty simple and easy to understand champion to go through, so we're going to be just fine today, and we have the deep dive rotation to go over exactly what it's going to look like as well, so we're going to be just fine today. But this is Patriot, man, the newest Captain America style champion to enter the game, and he's got a bunch of words in his kit, but he's probably the most simple champion released at the end of the day, right, in the past couple of months. So let's start jumping into it right away today. Get back up again, always active. This first bullet point is super duper cool in my opinion, man. Incoming weakness effects, and more importantly, the potency of the opponent's inequity mastery suffers 76% reduced potency. Now, that's pretty darn freaking cool, man, because one thing that we see very often in like battlegrounds, right? These champions who like put debuffs on themselves, we find that inequity kind of like messes them up. Or science champions like Photon, for example, you like don't hit her as hard because of inequity. So Patriot, being a really solid Photon counter, is going to get around that. On top of that, for each debuff on him, he gains additional attack rating, maxing out at 7 debuffs, okay? Now, he's kind of like Kingpin and Atuma and Daredevil, where he puts those self non-damaging debuffs on himself. So his regen rate is 44% and cannot be lowered further, so you cannot like reverse his regen and all that stuff, okay? But he always has that steady stream of willpower. He's very sustainable, all right? Now, while a science opponent has a Fury passive active and Patriot is blocking, he inflicts a 40% weakness passive, okay? And this weakness gains up to 100% increased potency based on his missing health. So again, very tanky, very sustainable. And of course, science champions with the Fury passives, you have like Thing, you have Photon, Captain America, Infinity War. I'm sure there are more as well, okay? Now, Prodigious Tactician. He gains an additional hit in his combo meter when he's using a light attack or when he's hitting the opponent's block with a light attack, okay? Also, when you block an attack, when you parry, when you're eating combos in the block, he's also going to be gaining additional combo meter just like that, okay? So he's a skilled champion who's very much so about his non-damaging debuffs and about his combo meter, okay? He also has an indefinite combo shield passive on defense. And when either champion performs a well-timed block, he gains a vigilance passive for 3 seconds. Of course, that's really great against Photon because you can parry her freely, all right? Now, knocking down the opponent grants him a pretty darn juicy precision passive for 5 seconds. This is paused when he attacks the opponent or hits their block for 0.5 seconds each time, okay? Now, those non-damaging debuffs, Heroic Resolve, okay? Resolve debuffs are indefinite and have no effect, kind of like Kingpin's Rage debuffs, right? Now, his max out at 8 technically because he purifies them and he gets the Overpower debuff. However, Patriot goes up to 10. When the combo meter passes a multiple of 10, he's going to gain one of those, and he also increases his critical damage rating for the rest of the fight. Not by much, but it's definitely noticeable in those longer Necropolis style fights. Whenever a non-damaging debuff on Patriot expires, kind of like, for example, we're going to keep referencing Photon here in this video, man. He's a great Photon counter. So when you're attacking Photon, right, and you're getting all these debuffs on you, and then those debuffs go away, you're going to gain a Resolve debuff. So he's a skill champion who feeds off of those science champions who really put those non-damaging debuffs on you, okay? Now, these debuffs are indefinite. However, when you're hit by the final hit of a special attack, he loses one of those debuffs or 2 against mutants. Now, new mechanic with this guy. It's called Reversal, okay? Reversal is kind of like an auto block mixed with a heavy attack. You can't counter it in pretty much any way right now. Like, you can't use True Strike to get around it, okay? You have to just avoid it by not inflicting debuffs on him, and that includes the parry stun, okay? Reversal removes any stun effects on the executing champion, stops the incoming attack, and retaliates with a brutal hit that knocks down the opponent, okay? Now, as a defender, when Patriot would be struck by a basic attack, very simply, he consumes 7 resolve debuffs to execute the reversal. But as an attacker, if Patriot would be struck by a basic attack while charging a heavy, he consumes his resolve to execute a reversal and gains 2 of his precision passives, and the fury that he gains from the resolve gets increased duration. Now, on defense, it's for 10 seconds. On attack, it lasts longer, but as you can see, it's a pretty darn juicy fury passive. Now, this is where most of his damage comes from. So you want to ramp up with this guy, right? And against a science matchup where there's non-damaging debuffs, you can go right to that special 2. Otherwise, you want to use the special 1 first. But the special 1, each of the 4 hits grants additional combo meter, and that's going to shoot up your resolve debuffs, of course. And for each multiple of 10, the combo meter passes during this attack. The final hit inflicts a physical vulnerability debuff. Now, you want to use this when you're at like 8 or 9 combo. That way, you can cross a multiple of 10 twice in the special attack. The special 2. If this attack is activated while the opponent is standing up after a reversal, it's passively unblockable, and Personal Fury and Precision are paused during the special and for 8 seconds after. Also, every hit puts a rupture on the opponent, and if you use a special 1 after the special 2 with the rupture, you gain additional physical vulnerability. Okay, so it's all tied together very nicely. The special 3, more often than not, you're not going to want to use this. If you're doing like Necropolis style stuff, long form content, yeah, maybe you can do this. But basically the first 3 times this attack is used, Patriot reduces the number of resolve debuffs consumed by his reversal by 1 for the rest of the fight. So instead of consuming 7, after 3 special 3s, you're going to consume 4. You also refresh your Personal Fury and Precision passives, which is like nice to have, you know? Alright, man, so that is Patriot. As you can see, lots of words, but at the end of the day, very simple. Let's look at his sig ability here. His precision passives gain increased potency. Each debuff on Patriot grants him additional block proficiency, and against science champions, his block proficiency cannot be reduced below where the ability would set it, and the opponent's block penetration is locked to 0. Any science champions, preferably one that was recently in an MCU movie, who's really annoying on defense, who that sounds pretty good against, maybe? Photon? Yes. Alright. Also, against non-mutant champions, he gains an indefinite steadfast passive, allowing him to block unblockable attacks while suffering from at least 10 non-damaging debuffs, but against science champions, this threshold is reduced to 3. Now, are there any science champions who have really annoying unblockable special attacks that you aren't able to dex? I can't think of any right now, but I'm sure there are some. Alright, man. So that is Patriot. As you can see, he's pretty darn simple at the end of the day. You want to hit the opponent. If you have the debuffs necessary to ramp up that resolve, you can go right to the special 2 and charge your heavy, let them attack you, throw that special 2, and then attack them. Now, if there aren't any resolve debuffs available that way, you're going to want to go for the special 1 first in an ordinary matchup, okay? That way you can build your combo, build your resolve, and then go for the special 2. Let's take a look at a vanilla matchup against Immortal Hulk and a matchup against Photon, where there are lots of debuffs, and see how he works.
To begin, knock the opponent down to gain your precision passive. Focus on your light attacks to build your combo and gain your resolve debuffs. In an ordinary matchup, launch your special 1 to dump your power and gain even more combo. Then, build to just under 3 bars of power, and when ready, charge your heavy to perform a reversal and gain your fury. Then, immediately use your special 2 to inflict your rupture debuffs, and if the opponent isn't already knocked out, you can launch another special 1 to inflict additional physical vulnerability and take advantage of that big fury passive. Now, keep in mind, he gains a vigilance passive on well-timed blocks, and gains a steadfast passive when he has enough debuffs, allowing him to block unblockable attacks. And if you're fighting a champion with a lot of non-damaging debuffs, each time they end for any reason, he'll gain a resolve debuff, allowing him to rush to that special 2 and perform that reversal much quicker. So, keep an eye on those debuffs, and take advantage of those reversals when you can.
So that's Patriot, man. As you can see, pretty darn simple at the end of the day. Of course, the resolve is a little bit intricate, but as you can see, it's not too hard. You want to charge that heavy attack and let them attack you, and you're going to be pretty good to go. He's pretty darn solid for those science champions, especially Photon, right? One thing about him that makes him really, really solid just in general is that he's very, very tanky. I haven't looked at his block proficiency, but I imagine it's very, very high. Let's see, block proficiency is up to 71%. That's really, really high. So that combined with the constant stream of willpower healing, combined with like the weakness against science champions, combined with like the block penetration being locked to 0, just lots of really solid stuff here. So that's Patriot, man. Let me know what you think about this guy in the comment section below. I think he's pretty darn cool. He could be really, really annoying on defense in certain scenarios as well. Like, what's that node? Is it called Chum in the Waters? Where like you dex and then like a heal block, a taunt, and an armor break, I think. Something like that. Are placed on both champions. Dude, he's gonna gain that reversal really, really quickly, and then you're gonna get knocked down by the reversal on defense, man. So in most ordinary matchups, the way to counter this guy is just not to parry him and don't give him the non-damaging debuffs. However, there's going to be some times where it's unavoidable, man, depending on the meta. So you just have to keep an eye on that. I think he'll always be solid for those science champions, right? Like Photon, for example, who's like an evergreen defender, you know? So yeah, man, I think he's got a nice place in the game. But let me know what you think in the comment section below. I'm very interested to hear. That's going to be it for this one. Let me know what you think in the comment section below and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss the leader in about 2 weeks. I'll be seeing you around, man.